Hello, everybody. I think we are live again. LinkedIn Live gets so delayed. I don't know how or why, or I don't know if that's just how it's supposed to be built that way. But anyways, I think we are live for another episode of the Visto Show. It is Friday, April the 11th. Hopefully you're having a good Friday. If you're tuning in with me live on LinkedIn, thanks very much for joining. Feel free to throw a hello, a hey. Let me know where you're tuning in from. If you have any questions, comments, anything like that, feel free to play a part. If you're watching after the fact on YouTube, thank you very much for watching. And don't forget that I do record this and stream it live every second Friday on LinkedIn. So if you do want to actually watch it live and take part in the conversation, feel free. There's a link, I believe there's a link to my LinkedIn profile in the description below on YouTube. Anyways, let's jump into the show. We have some interesting stuff. It's been an oddly quiet-ish week in Canadian immigration. I'll talk about some stuff quickly. We'll review Express Entry. We'll talk about the recent home caregiver program launch. We have a big Visto feature to talk about. Actually, I didn't update the on-screen IRCC headlines. We'll say new Visto feature. And just some other little small announcements. It won't be a super long show, but just getting caught up on the immigration stuff, a big new feature to talk about, and a little bit more from there. So let's jump right in. Now, first and foremost, I'm going to do a quick page refresh to make sure. Yeah, so there has not been an Express Entry draw since the last episode of the Visto Show. So you can see here March 21st and March 17th. Were the last two draws. I think, at least it wasn't since the last Visto Biweekly. Anyways, it's been more than 2 weeks since the last draw, so things have been a little bit quiet on the Express Entry front. Now, there might be some reasons to this. I think the biggest reason, of course, I don't think they've confirmed, but because they recently removed the bonus points for valid job offers, sometimes what we've seen happen in the past is when IRCC makes a change to their scoring calculations, sometimes it does cause a delay because they have to go in and actually change and update the systems, right? So removing the 50 and the 200 bonus points, I think I talked about that change in the last episode. But basically, IRCC has removed the 50 and 200 bonus points for having valid job offers. So I believe what happened was IRCC then has to go in and obviously update the system. And, so typically around announcements like that are when we tend to see pauses or delays in Express Entry draws. So I don't think it's anything to be alarmed about unless you're coming up against an expiring permit and really need this invite. It'll be interesting to see when they do go back to invites, how they trend in terms of do they continue doing French language, are they moving on to something else? But as they say, only time will tell. Now I wanted to quickly talk about the home care worker immigration pilot because this went live, I think it was March 31st. And basically what happened, for those of you who don't know, although most of us kind of expected this, is it filled up in less than a day, right? So you can see here the status, there's the not working in Canada and the workers in Canada streams. And if you haven't, make sure to check the latest status of the update. Okay. Yeah, so, here it is. Let me put links to this as well in the description. I'll put this link in the description because this shows the actual numbers and the update. So I'm going to put the links. If you're on LinkedIn, it'll be in the comments. If you're watching on YouTube after the fact, links to this will be below in the description as well. But basically, there were, for the workers in Canada stream, 2,350 slots with a 260 alternate format slots. So that basically means for various reasons they're unable to apply online. For the out of status and unauthorized workers stream, 125 slots. Not surprisingly, this is full as well. So basically what happened is the cap reset on March 31st, and by the end of the day on March 31st, these caps were hit. Most of us kind of expected this to happen. This is usually what happens, especially for programs with smaller caps like this. I didn't do any of these applications. I don't really do immigration file work anymore. But from what I saw and read is, as usual with these launches, the portal was slow. It was crashing. People couldn't log in. People couldn't submit in time. Generally speaking, did not sound like a fun experience, as is usually the case when new immigration portals open for stuff like this. So anyways, this was pretty much open and closed in less than a day. Like I said, unless you're applying using an alternate format, and in this case for the out of status and unauthorized workers. Because it looks like even for the workers in Canada stream, the alternate format applications are full or they hit the cap. Although maybe they're still accepting them. I'm not sure. So let's take our patented segue sip and move on to the next portion. Now this is an exciting one because we're basically showing off for the first time our new online form filling feature. So as many of you know, what we do at Visto is we build software that makes it easier for Canadian immigration firms, lawyers, consultants, etc., to prepare and submit applications. One of the big ways we do that is through our form filling, right? So for the government PDF forms, we have one-click form filling, right? So we can fill out, 1295, 5707, use of rep, etc., in one click. Now, as many of us know, IRCC is moving a lot of these forms online. So what I'll show you here is a quick preview, because we're about a week away from going into beta testing with our, I'm just going to stop talking. I'm just going to play this on full volume and I don't have to talk because the video is playing.
Hey everybody, Josh here from Vista with a very exciting announcement. As you know, we've been auto-filling IRCC PDFs for years. Now we're taking the next step to help you fill out the IRCC online forms. What you're looking at on screen is a recording of an example of, let's say, inviting your client to Visto, gathering their information in their intake form, you've reviewed it, it looks good, then you can log in to your portal. We have no access to your login or password or anything like that. And with the click of a button, our Chrome extension can actually start auto-filling in, screen by screen, your client's information for you. Super excited for this. We'll be sharing more information soon. Stay tuned.
Damn, very well said, Josh. Very, very well said. Anyways, I'm super excited about that. Long story short is automated online form filling, right? Especially for applications like Express Entry, Spousal Sponsorship, H&C, where they've moved those forms online. This will be really, really good. So if you're an immigration professional, you're spending a lot of time filling out those online forms, let me know and or make sure to stay tuned closer to when that goes live. Now, beyond that, I don't have a ton to talk about because there wasn't a ton of news. So I'll just highlight a few like recent posts and content that we've put out as well. So for example, a week ago, I posted about talking to someone who's unable to get those 50 or 200 bonus points. They've done everything right. They came to Canada, genuine program, etc., etc. And they're considering leaving because they can't make Express Entry work, etc., etc. So anyways, I'll put a link to this post as well because it got some decent traction and it's related to that recent Express Entry change. And kind of sad, and this is what I've been talking about and worried about, which is, yes, we needed to curb immigration because I think the government just let it get out of control. But the problem is they've gone a little bit too far and now they're turning away the best and brightest, the people who we actually need, right? So it's very concerning because eventually the tables will turn and we are going to go back to needing a lot of these skilled workers. Similarly, this was another post I had this week that gained some pretty good traction because I was talking about from an immigration professional standpoint, it just hasn't been as fun to practice immigration anymore. They've made everything way harder, way more confusing, and refusal rates are up so high even for applications that you prep perfectly. Right? So think about it. If you're working in whatever your profession might be, how frustrating it could be to do great work, really good work, maybe even in some cases perfect work, and still have it refused, rejected, in a lot of cases for seemingly no good reason, right? And how frustrating that can be as a professional. Lastly, of course, Canadian Immigration Pros podcast. If you're not already listening to it, we've had some pretty exciting episodes come up over the last few weeks. Again, I'll link to it in the description here as well. If you click on that link, you can either find your favorite podcast platform to listen to it on, or you can click the YouTube link here and you can see all the videos as well. Right, so we've had general just discussions about immigration, we've had corporate changes, PNP discussions, AI, all these kind of interesting discussions and topics to cover in Canadian immigration. So I biasly and highly recommend giving that a listen. So that is really it for me. It's actually quite a short episode today. Hasn't been a huge number of changes in Canadian immigration. Definitely a lot of news in politics with the election and stuff coming up. Maybe I'll cover that a little bit more in the next episode because it'll be closer to the, very close actually, to the election. What's today? The 11th. So the next episode will be on the 25th. We might have to do a special election episode because that'll be 3 days before the election. We'll see how much news is out by then related to immigration, and based on that, we will kind of decide. So I think I'm gonna wrap it at that, to be honest. Because there hasn't been a ton to talk about, I'm just not going to talk for much longer. If you were expecting more, I apologize. But if you have a busy day, then I've just returned some of it to you. So anyways, that's it for this episode of the Visto Show. Thank you very much, as always, for tuning in. If you did tune in on LinkedIn, make sure to like, comment, feel free, even if after the fact. YouTube, a like, a subscribe always helps, especially if you want to watch future episodes. So thanks again for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, everybody.